Now, how did you spend your summer? A bit of sun, sea and kicking back? Well, two families from Bournemouth decided they wanted something, well, a little bit more challenging. They spent the best part of a month in northern India, touring around some of the most remote areas of the Spiti Valley in the Himalayas, using yaks to get about. The families were taking theatre to villages and schools, and some of them joined me on the sofa earlier. And here in the studio we have Izzy, Juliet, Benny and Ben. So Ben, what was the idea behind this expedition?
Theatre and education is something that we're quite used to in this country, but in India it's a new thing. And the remote part of the Indian Himalayas that we went to, the Spiti Valley, is they would never have seen anything like this before. Theatre, for one thing, and secondly, the idea that you can use theatre to inspire learning in schools was a very novel idea and something that we wanted to give them a taste of. And
you had a great time travelling around, Izzy, didn't you? Because you used yaks. Tell me about your yaks.
Well, we had two yaks to start off with. We had Chucky, named by Freddie, and I named Norman, our other yak. But later on in the trip, Norman ran away to see, as we thought, his girlfriend. But then later on, we found another yak, and I called him Stephen.
And what were they like? I mean, didn't you have to burn yak poo for something?
Yeah, that was in the homestays, because in Spiti it's very cold in the winter, so they use yak poo instead of wood to burn their stoves.
Does it smell?
Not really. It smells a bit like wee, but...
Oh, right. OK, I got you. So, Benny, tell me, you're quite high up. How high did you go, and was it a problem?
We went 4,700 feet.
14,000.
14,700
That is
feet.
high, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, and it was a bit of a problem because some of us got altitude sickness, and it was nausea, vomiting and headaches.
Not very
and stuff.
nice then.
Yeah.
Not very nice.
Not very
What was
nice.
it like actually getting around, Juliet?
It was quite challenging. The roads that we travelled on were some of the most dangerous roads in the world. We travelled by jeep, all with local drivers who were absolutely fantastic and coped with landslides, rain, sheer drops, hairpin bends.
So this was an adventure, wasn't it? It was a great adventure. I mean, how did they respond to what you were doing? I mean, this was the children and the adults.
Oh, really well. It was really well received. People had, like I say, not seen anything like that before.
So did they understand what you were trying to do? Because presumably there were language barriers, weren't there?
We had a translator, because one thing we wanted to do was to make sure that any money went back to the local area. So we used a Spitian translator who travelled with us. He didn't come with us on the yaks, though he had a motorbike.
You seem to be resenting that. Getting the feeling about this yak.
And so that really helped with the language barrier.
Would you go back again?
Yes.
And if so, why? What would be the point of going back again? What could you give them as more?
Because it feels like it's just the tip of the iceberg, really. In terms of, you know, the way things are done in schools over there is quite old-fashioned by our standards, and the idea of having more creative learning is something that's gaining momentum in India, and I think there's a real interest for it.
And Izzy, Benny, would you go back?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Slight hesitation.
Yeah.
Look, it's lovely to meet you. Thank you very much for coming in to share your story. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Sally.
Thank you.
They had such an adventure, some wonderful adventures. Great idea. All right, Sam, because I've written